So I have my Pikachu picture. This is what we're going to be trying to use. I'm going to put some masking tape down. That way we can hold it in place. Now I didn't have a piece of Lexan big enough, but I have two halves that will just barely fit on there. Now I'm going to put down some tape. That way we can use this as a mold. Now I'm going to use some copper wire. We'll cut it and use some silver solder to glue up the joints, and we'll do up the outline using this. I'm going to cut this long just so we can get the basic shapes. Then I'll go back through and refine it. So scratch that idea. The solid core wire is too hard to bend and get into shape. So what I decided to do was use some stranded wire, cut that up, remove the Lexan base that we taped up. So that way I can lay the wire directly to this. It's on a wooden base, and then I can heat it up and lay down some silver solder. Having that Lexan there would have messed up the tape through the heat from the soldering iron, and then we would have had issues when we did our pour. Alright, so I have to do something different here. So switching gears a little bit, I think I came up with what we need to do to keep everything from moving. And if I put little beads of hot glue around the outside, should still be able to solder it. We'll use the little trick with the alcohol on the hot glue, and it should come right off. Now let's hit it with some isopropyl alcohol. What this is going to do is turn all the hot glue from a soft glue. It's going to make it hard. We should be able to pop it right off. So unless you have a lot of patience, I would not do it this way. It was a terrible idea, and I don't know why you suggested it. The glue melted into the wire. It was such a pain to remove. Definitely don't do it this way. Alright, I'm going to pop the rest of these off. I'll get you when it's done. Take a piece of clear tape, stick it to this back side. That way we can fill here. I already have the piece over here. You can turn on the black light, and we know the UV resin will dry as soon as we start putting it down. Those will be the circles for the eyes. Hopefully that works the way I want it to. So let's let this set up a little bit, then we'll add some more. So guys, I wasn't liking the way the UV resin was working out. It was giving it a bunch of waviness, almost as if it flash cured. So I managed to pop the pieces out of the ears that we were doing. I'm going to try to seal it up with clear UV resin just around the outside edge. And then maybe we can do an actual pour with some 2-part resin. So let's try that. So I'm mixing up 2 ounces of resin, debating between lemon color or Rita yellow. Now we just let this dry. So after the yellow sets, I mix up some bright red for the cheeks, and I mix up some magenta for the tongue. Now we just let this cure. And mixing up some black, we can take care of the ears. Using a small piece of wire, I can push it into the corners. Now we'll let this dry as well. So I built up a little wall of super glue.
It's Pikachu!
This way it can pour an outside border. I mixed up some blue-green color shift and some fiery red. Figure if we start one down here and then another one up top and let them merge. So the camera died and I lost a clip, but I'm going to explain what I did really quick. I took the paper, held it up to a window, traced out the circle of where I needed to cut out. I also traced the nose. I'm going to use the Dremel with a deburring bit just so I can punch through and open it up. Switch over to the 1/4 inch 120 grit sanding drum, also for the Dremel. And then I trimmed up just until I got to the outside of the line. Basically, I removed the line. Then I started filling it with black. So now we just need to drill some holes in the eyes so we can add the white pupils. I found a drill bit that is the same size as these, so we'll be able to drill them here and here and then add white. Mix up some UV resin with the white powder. So I mixed up 3 ounces of clear resin. I want to add it to the top, that way it's a little bit stronger and a little bit thicker. I added a little barrier around it with some plastic, hot glued it from the outside. I'm just going to mix up this resin, pour it on top. So now that I got the Pikachu out of the mold, I'm going to set this up pretty much around here. Make sure it fits. Something like that. Go around and work this. Now we got our outline. So now that our line is drawn, just going to go around about a ½ inch in. Give ourselves the same shape. So now we have our outside edge, the inside edge. We're going to remove all this material till we get to this inside line. That way we have a nice ½ inch edge going all the way around. We'll attach our magnet here, and we'll attach our magnet here at the bottom. Do the same thing on the back of the Pikachu here and down here, so it stays. So, switching from the flat sanding disc and hitting the bottom, I'm going to use the Dremel with a sanding wheel. The smallest one I got, I slid it to the top, sticking out a little bit, so that way we can get into this edge. Everything sanded, nothing sharp. Now that I have my bottom piece cut, I can take the top piece, and this is what we're going to end up with. Having a nice base. All our grain matches after we sand, that's our fresh cut. So what I didn't show is I have these candle lights or fairy lights. What I was thinking to do was taking the lights and stringing them in the back here. We'll have to drill a hole through to this and a spot in the back where the wire can pop up. I wanted to sink in the battery box, but the problem with that is you have to push on the back and it slides to come off, so we can't really sink it in. The second thing was the switch is right here on the side, so I'd have to completely disassemble this, make my own battery box within the wood. We'd have to mount the switch different, rewire the springs to come out the side. So I think we'll just mount the box back here where you can access it. You're able to replace the batteries. If we ever have a problem, we'd be able to take this off, undo the string lights, and put in new lights. So I'll move these off to the side. We'll take the top piece, line it up on the base, mark the back. So I hit the inside with some silver. We're going to mark out a spot where we're going to mount this battery box. So we know the box will go there. The wire will come in right here. So from that hole where the wire is going to come in, I'll just make a line. Make a line coming up. So now we know if we can drill it down there and drill it in from the side over here, then we can feed the wire in. Put the front on. Line it up from the sides. Put a mark across the back. Now we know our hole has to go in over here. So I'm going to get a bit, start drilling out this. So I think I'm going to drill through this piece, straight through here. That way I can put a dowel straight from the back right into this piece. I think we're going to get the strongest bite by doing that. If I only put the dowel in a little bit, it's not really going to bite anything, so I'd rather go all the way through. So now, using some 3/8 dowel center finders, I'm just going to pop them in here, line up where this is going, and give it a quick whack. Now I know exactly here and here where those dowels need to be. So now that I got the wire poked through, I got the box over here, and take the cover off the box. Need to drill 2 holes here so we can mount the battery box. Pull the battery box to where we're going to mount it. Just right there. So I swapped out some 3/4 screws for 2 1/2 inch. So I sanded down the back of the Pikachu just to give it a little light diffusion when it's mounted. So I know I said I wanted to use some magnets to keep the Pikachu mounted to the board, but I think I'm going to use some hot glue instead. It'll be semi-permanent. If the lights ever go out, we can use a fishing line or guitar string to pull through, cut that hot glue, and then replace the lights if need be in the future. So let's mount the Pikachu onto the board using some hot glue, and then I'll show you the finished product. So I feel like we're gonna get one shot at this. Get enough hot glue down around the edge, get the Pikachu mounted before this really starts to set and dry. Alright, let's get this on here. Feels pretty secure. Gonna let this set. Got a little bit right here that I gotta clean up, but I want it to be fully cured first before we start cutting it out. The front, the top, around the sides look good except for those 2 little bits. A little bit right here. So let's remove that. Just gonna use a razor blade, nice and easy.